Leaderboard series is on now. And so let's move on straight to business. According to Jim Rohn, right, to become financially independent, you must turn part of your income into capital first. And then you turn capital into enterprise, turn enterprise into profits, turn profit into investment, and turn investment into financial independence. Now, I guess this morning on Why Leaderboard series, I spent most of the past few years, spreading the gospel of wealth, all right, creation and financial independence, especially to people who cut across, different income levels and age, both in the formal and informal sectors, with its resounding mantra, financial independence is possible. Now, he holds a Bachelor of Commerce at Cape Coast University in Ghana. He actually had that in 2001. Gained an MBA from the University of Ghana Business School in Legon 2007, where he focused on free float-based approach to stock market measurements. He has made a tangible contribution to the development of Ghana's capital markets, as well as being instrumental in the launch of 3 mutual funds in Ghana. He has helped establish several pension funds as well. Back in 2011, right, he also wrote a book, Master Your Personal Finance, Starter's Guide to Becoming Rich, and several others subsequently. He's full of optimism and, especially about Africa's future. He's very, very, very positive about Africa's future. He feels like we can actually do it right here. Mr. Paul Kofi Mante is the Managing Director of EDC Investments Limited and our guest on Why Leaderboard series this morning. Join me as welcome Mr. Paul Kofi Mante. And I introduced him this style because he's no new member when it comes to the YFM. Yes, he's been here a few times. First time I actually listened to you was on Barry's show and I was touched.
Wow.
I mean, I was just asking myself the number of people who are out there who are also touched, because this was just me coming to work. And I mean, as part of my duties, I'm supposed to listen to my station, and so I listened. I'm like, okay, this didn't feel forced. I mean, this is redemption, and these are things we're supposed to know.
Yeah.
But by some unlucky faith, I mean, information like this is sort of like reserved to a few people. But now, I mean, thanks to people like you, financial independence is no new thing.
Yeah.
People are constantly changing their lives, day in, day out, changing bits and bits of their attitude to ensure that in the near future we become financially independent.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd like to use this opportunity to say a big thank you on behalf of my station, my team. You're doing a great job. I think great job is even an understatement. And this person is quite a pleasure to meet you this morning. I mean, I was told in a few days you're celebrating your birthday.
It's actually tomorrow.
Yeah. Wow. And so on behalf of YFM Global Media Alliance, we'd like to say a happy birthday in advance to you and to your team, because I know they are going to chill with you as well. We're going to start today's show, of course, on a grand note. Since it's your birthday, I have one of your personal favorite songs. You're going to love it.
Okay.
We're going to play it, cool off a bit, and then we'll go straight into business, okay? So, guys, it's a special birthday one for Mr. Paul Kofi Mante, my guest for today. He loves this song, Charlie. Enjoy. If you know him, send him a message, all right? Text him now. Happy birthday in advance. Let's do a special one for him, okay?
Jesus, you're my everything,
It's actually Oye by the Harmonious Chorale. Before that, we played one from Brother Joe Metal. And these are special songs for Mr. Paul Kofi Mante, my guest for Why Leaderboard series today. He's all excited already, guys. I mean, if you're not watching us on Facebook, you are slacking. Y1079 FM. Go on there and share. But shouts going out to Choco Malt by Casa Preco for sponsoring Why Leaderboard series. They are proud sponsors. They are bringing us Why Leaderboard series. Make sure you check it out as well, okay? So let's get down to business. I want to find out, all right, where all this started for you. If we're writing a story about the life of Mr. Paul Kofi Mante, first page, where are we starting from? Where were you born? How was growing up like for you?
I was actually born at Bema Camp.
Oh, Soja for you?
Yes, but we moved to Medina when I was just a year old.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've lived all my life in Medina. It all started in Medina until somewhere 2003 when I married and left Medina. So it all started in Medina. Yeah.
Describe how life was like for you. What kind of upbringing did you have?
Okay, so my father died quite early. My father died when I was 8 years, somewhere around 85. So you can imagine it. Sometimes I try not to get into history, but I have 7 siblings.
Wow.
So we are 8, same mother, same father. My father passed on. Firstborn was in lower 6 at that time. So you can imagine all 8 of us in school. So living in a chamber and hall somewhere around Medina Social Welfare.
Wow.
So I mean, I slept on the floor most of my young years. It was normal. That is what I saw.
Yeah, that was what you were used to.
Yeah. So it wasn't rosy, tough one. But I had an amazing mother who made sure she saw all of us through school. So she used to sell stuff, and we needed to help her to help us. So I went out selling every morning before I went to school, from cassava to plantain to bread to all the things you can think about. And she had a small shop somewhere around the Medina taxi rank. So in the evenings when we closed from school, you have to go and sell. You have to go and sell. I mean, she used to sell tea for the taxi drivers and all that, the trotro drivers at night, and you needed to help. So it wasn't all rosy. In Medina, attended Calvary International.
Okay.
Because she insisted that she wanted every child to have quality education. So went to Calvary, and then from Calvary I went to St. Augustine's College.
Okay.
Guess how I got to St. Augustine's College?
Tell me.
I didn't even know about St. Augustine's College, but I had a teacher at the GHS somewhere in 1991 called Sukwat, who attended Augustine's and kept talking about St. Augustine's College. I said, which school cry is this St. Augustine's College? Then me too, I will go some.
You just wanted to go try it, right?
So then I applied. I selected St. Augustine's College, and for some reason I got it. So I went to Augustine's for 3 years, and then from Augustine's I went to Kivas to read BCom. And again, guess how I got to BCom? When I was in Augustine's, we had some students from University of Cape Coast coming to do their teaching practice. One of them was this gentleman called Palmer. I think he owns a football club at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was one of the students, and he kept talking about BCom, and I really liked the way he taught us. So he kept talking about BCom. Then this BCom must be something
nice,
interesting. So I would also want to read BCom, and that's how I got to Kivas to read BCom. So if you ask me how I got where I find myself today, it wasn't really planned. I mean, bits and pieces came together. So I went to Kivas, ended up with BCom Bachelor of Commerce from Kivas, did my national service, got my first job somewhere around the capital market. It was a UNDP project. And it was a financial literacy program, so you know where
it started
from.
Yeah, nice.
It was a UNDP project to educate students on financial literacy, what the stock market was, what bonds are, how to open bank account, basic things about personal finance. And we were supposed to run this program in 10 secondary schools in Ghana. So I took up that project, I think the year 2002, in 10 schools, Accra Academy, and then Achimota in Accra, Infantiman Girls Agri Memorial, this other college, and then Wesley Girls in the Central Region, and then St. Louis, T.I. Amadia, and Prempeh in Ashanti region. So these are 10 schools I used for about 2.5 years just to educate them. So I visited them periodically to run seminars, to explain to them all this concept and get other people to train them. I mean, long vacations, we took them to a youth camp, put them in a campus, one of the campuses for maybe 4 days, 5 days, just to educate them. Yeah, on the basics of finance. And I must say that it's been fulfilling, because today I made some of my students who are practicing in the industry.
Yeah.
I have even had the opportunity of working with one at the moment in my office, who was a student in Accra Accra Academy.
Way back. Wow.
You know, so it's fulfilling seeing, and he's a portfolio manager today who is doing very well.
We're going to break down the journey you went through in a bit, but you know, still on your childhood, I mean, help me understand, what were your interests growing up? You seem like someone who's super interested. I mean, you take up finance and financial literacy. You take it serious, super serious. Has it always been with you? Were you interested in other stuff growing up? Anything else, you know, aside finance?
Well, I wasn't interested in finance. I didn't even understand finance. I wasn't sure, to be honest with you. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I was asked to go to school, so I needed to go to school. And I was told that if you go to school, you study hard, you will do well with your future. So I needed to study hard. So I really didn't have plans of getting into finance. I mean, so I'm like a regular child, played football, played around. When I needed to study, I studied, and that was it.
What motivated you back then? I mean, this was a young guy who had lost his dad, had to support mom along the line. I mean, lived with 7 other siblings in a room. What kept you going around that time? Because you mentioned that a few things were tough, but it was still fun. What kept you going?
You know, I will share a story with you. There was one time we needed to get a parent to come to school to complete some forms for us. I think this was in GHS2 or GHS3. So I went home to get somebody to come with me. At that time, one of my big sisters had a friend who had visited her, who came with a car. So he volunteered to go with me. And you see, it was the first time I went to school in a car, and I was so excited. I can never forget that day when the guy drove me to the place. You know, I cannot forget it. But when I look at the fact that I was in school and I saw other colleagues who came to school with their parents, they came to drop them. I mean, things were easy. There were a couple of times I was asked to go home because I had not paid school fees, and others had it cool.
Had it all rosy.
And I just told myself that I wouldn't want my children to go through this. I think that I can give my children a better future than the future I have, than the life I had at that time. I didn't know how, to be honest with you.
All you were concerned with was giving your life and your future a different feel.
Just putting in my best in life, and it was as simple as that.
And so what kind of students were you then? Because this was you not having it all rosy. I mean, you went to senior high school, you went to Accra school. Help us understand the kind of students you were. Were you the type that would spend time praying? Were you with the SU? Were you the entertainment guy, the book guy? Where did you find yourself in there?
Well, okay, JHS, I was a SU guy.
I knew it.
Yeah, I was a SU guy. Even Augustine's, when I went to Augustine's, I was with GAMS. We didn't have SU there. Okay. But Augustine's, I joined the cadet.
Wow.
That unfolded another aspect of life altogether to me. Because you needed to be a little bit tough to be within the cadet. So I think it brought some discipline and some balance into my life. But in Augustine's, I wasn't the entertainment kind of guy. Well, I had fun with my friends. I attended SU. I think I had a balanced life. One of the things I liked then was when we went for intercolleges and Interco, and we had to sing the Jama songs. You know, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
People from your school actually really liked Interco. I mean, it was so bad. Augusto guys would come all the way to Ashanti region. I went to Kumasi Anglican.
Okay.
And so they would drive all the way from. They would actually pick bus from Cape Coast, just come and dress and join us. Shijama.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know,
all those things.
It was fun. Yeah.
Be honest. Did you ever see yourself coming this far in finance? You know, when you cast your mind back.
No. Honestly, no. Something happened in the year 2000, and I pray that every young person goes through that experience. In the year 2000, I went for a conference by accident, a conference called the Winning Ways Conference. And I met
Ashimolo. Pastor
Ashimolo was one of them.
Okay.
I think he organized it, but it was held at, I think, the Christ Temple, the year 2000. But two amazing speakers, Dr. Miles Morrow and Mike Murdoch.
Is it Miles Morrow of blessed memory?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And Mike Murdoch, especially Miles Morrow. Miles Morrow gave a good message. Look, I bought the cassettes then. We didn't have the CD.
CDs,
I bought the cassettes then. I listened to that sermon so much that I could recite it at a point in time. Who am I? The 5 important questions in life.
Still remember?
Yes, the 5 important questions everybody needs to ask. And these 5 questions will stare at everybody, whether you sleep in the palace or you sleep under the bridge. What are these 5 questions? Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going to? What can I do? You know, and it really got to me when I listened to that sermon after that conference. In fact, when I went to the university, one of the big downsides for me was church on campus.
Okay.
Because I met some leadership in church who did not have a balance in their lives.
Okay.
So I kept hearing statements like, your future does not depend on your grades. Your future is in the hands of God. You know, the Christianity without balance, sometimes without knowledge, your future is in the hands of God. It does not depend on your grades.
There's a lot of limits in there.
Yeah. So psychologically, I had placed a limit on my life. And I had made some C's, some B's. I didn't really mind until I went for that conference. And when I went for that conference, that's when I got my favorite scripture in the Bible, Ephesians 3:20. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we imagine or ask, according to the power that is at work in us. God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we imagine. We imagine, imagination. We imagine or ask. It's not an ask. They are or
imagine
ask,
or ask.
So you can ask, and I learned from that conference that you can actually ask God for things. You can pray for things to happen, but your mind can also do the prayer. You can imagine for things to happen, and the scripture said God can do above what we imagine, according to a certain power that is at work in us already. And one of the important things Miles Morrow kept talking about, in fact, there's an important question he asked: what is the richest place on planet Earth? And I had my own answers, but his answer was the cemetery.
Why so?
The cemetery is the richest place because the cemetery is a place you will find people who were supposed to be rich, but who were never rich. People who were supposed to come up with beautiful songs that were never sung. People were supposed to write books, several books that were never written. Inventors that ended up in the cemetery. People who were supposed to build malls bigger than the Accra Mall, who never built them. So the cemetery is the richest place on planet Earth. And he encouraged participants not to add to the riches of the cemetery. You got to die empty.
Let's take the richness from them.
You got to die empty. Don't go and add to the riches of the cemetery. And I remember that conference so well. One of the statements he made was the fact that life is measured in donation, not in duration.
Break that down for us.
Life is measured in donation. Not in duration. It's not about how long you lived. It's about what you did within the short life you lived. And he compared Jesus Christ with Methuselah, who lived for over 900 years, and asked the question, what can you say about Methuselah? What did he do?
He just stayed longer, that's all. And
then you compare to Jesus, who lived for 33 years, and his impact. So in fact, I took inspiration from that conference, and I went back to school, and believe you me, in my final year, my worst grade was, I think, at 72% or so.
But then before that, you thought what you had was okay for you.
Because
that's your strength.
Because the future did not depend on that. That was a misconception. And I want to encourage, especially church folks, that look, let's not hide behind being religious and be lazy and be mediocre, because I see too much mediocrity with religious people, especially the Kofi brothers and the Kofi sisters. They don't push in life. It's Christ is coming tomorrow, so let's settle here, and they don't give much there are a few amazing ones who are doing well. But the majority, and it's because of this thinking, and I went through that challenge where I was told your future does not depend on your grades. Until I went to I went to that conference. And you know what? I went to do my MBA in 2005 up to 2007. Based on this thinking, when I was going to do my MBA, I was married then. I married an amazing lady, Linda, in 2003. So I was married and we had a fresh baby. I told my wife at home that I am going to the University of Ghana. I read MBA Finance. And I said it in trees. Mikodi Festaba. I was going to be the overall best student. And you know what? I was working full-time with the same capital management. I work with Dr. Sammens, an amazing coach. I was working full-time, head of asset management at that time, managing the company, and I was in school full-time student.
And you were a family man too?
And I was a family man, had one baby. So we were living around Weja at that time, and my office was around Adabraka, and Legon.
And Legon was just all the way on the other side.
Exactly. And my mom was in Medina. So what I did was, within the weekdays, Monday to Fridays, I would normally be at Medina and the office. I was blessed to have two other colleagues who were also on the program. So around 9 p.m., we went to the office. Every day, Monday to Friday, we went to the office and we stayed through the night till about 4:30 a.m. So we'll be in the office to clear our desk, respond to the emails, and study. In the middle of the night, when we are tired, we will get into a group discussion. George and a call. So for the 2 years I was in school, Monday to Friday, I slept in the office almost every day.
This was the routine for you?
Yes. And then I'll go home Saturday morning, spend time with the family. Sunday evening, drive back to Medina for lectures Monday morning. So you would find me either on campus, in the office, or at my mom's place resting in Medina. Within 2 years, we wrote 18 papers. I made 18 A's.
And this was because you had
it
imagined.
Was all in the mind.
You had imagined, you had asked, and then God did beyond what you imagined for you.
There is no lazy student. When I was in JHS, I had a teacher. I'm still looking for him. When I selected Augustine's, he asked me to change it because he thought
you couldn't do it.
Yes, I wasn't intelligent enough to go to Augustine's, and I'm looking for him. I have.
I'm sure he's seen you now. No, I'm sure he's seen you now.
So there is nothing like, you should never tell anybody they are dumb, they are unintelligent. People just need that paradigm shift to believe in themselves, to have that can-do spirit. And once you push them, they can. Because when JHS, I got at grade 7 or so. I couldn't even make 6 once at that time. And then secondary school, I wasn't an amazing student. I think I made 12 or 14 or so. But this same person goes to do MBA, and then I made 18 A's.
18 A's.
Yes. Every paper I wrote. So when they publish the results, at those days they will paste the results. So results now about them. And then people are looking through, and people go like, whose number ends with 176? He only makes A's. And
you quietly come and watch and go.
And I walk away quietly.
Wow.
I walk away quietly. I want to encourage students and young people listening to me. You need to push yourself to the limits. You see, when you do your best and you don't get the best grades, within you, you know you've done your best. But don't relax. Push yourself to the limit. Because if you can imagine it, God can use you to do it. God can do exceedingly and abundantly above what you imagine.
Yes.
What do you imagine? So imagine it. And I've told myself that if I ever went to school, met anybody from anywhere in the world, I will beat them flat in the classroom.
That's
whether you are Chinese or Indian or Korean, it's in the mind.
Paul, let me. That's a beautiful story, by the way. I'm really enjoying it. But let me find out from you, all right? You just mentioned something that is very important. I mean, we're changing our mindset on what strength is, who is good, who is not, encouraging anybody who has whether good or bad capabilities whatsoever. Don't you think it's something we must shift in the system, in our educational system? Because we seem to be targeting the individual approach to it. Don't you think our education system should change? Back in school, you know, powers should change so that teachers like your former teacher won't be able to tell you what he told you. I mean, so we don't have to sideline people. Say these ones are the academically inclined. Let's just put these ones on the side. Don't we need shifts in our education system? In our social setting?
We've come a long way.
Okay.
We've come a long way, but I think there is more to be done. I have my own challenges and then reservations about educational system at the moment. For example, if you went to the medical school, you have to become a medical doctor.
Okay.
You see, in our part of the world, it's not possible to, or it's almost impossible to go and read business in secondary school and end up being a medical doctor.
That's true.
It's like at a young age, when people don't even know why they are selecting which course. Like I ended up in Augustus, I only read business because I was given business.
That's what you were given.
Exactly. Not that I didn't understand, I didn't really appreciate the implications of reading business or science. So if I was given science, I could have ended up being a medical doctor and I would have denied the world of what God is using me to do today. So when you read a particular course, then you have to end up in a particular career. I think that it's problematic. People tend to think that once you go to school, financial independence is guaranteed. You just need to make have a degree or two, but life does not work that way, you know. So I think that a lot need to change, and we need to take some other aspects of our schooling serious. You know, we don't respect people who do visual arts, people who are doing
the creative arts,
music, linguistics. But as I grow up and I get exposure, I realize these are areas we really need to pay attention to, because every child will find themselves. God is a wise God. God has placed in everybody something you need to survive in life. God has placed in everybody some potential, something you need to give back to society. You know, but the way we are structured, so when we go to school, watch, the best students end up in the science classes.
That's true.
And then we follow by the business and the arts,
and the visual and the home economics.
It's not right. We should be able to give top class students opportunity to do visual arts if that is what they want to do.
That's true.
So we've come a long way, but I think that there is more.
I think we'll have that conversation later. We'll bring you on a different note, so we'll discuss that. I'm interested in us talking about your family now. You mentioned that you have a beautiful wife. How many people do you have in your own family now? And how does your family life affect who you are on the side, the business life?
Okay, tricky one. So I have a wife. I have 4 biological children.
Bless God.
But I have 2 others who are not biological.
Okay.
And then I have an old lady living with me. So we have quite a big family. I mean, the last 8 years or 9 years, we took some decision, myself and my wife. We started doing what we call the mentoring session. So at the beginning of every year, we'll pick some young, ambitious, you know, the experience I had with Miles Morrow and how it impacted in my life. We thought that, look, we need to find a way to give back to society. So the last 9 years or so, beginning of every year, we'll pick some few young people, put them together, put them on a program. I actually have a training program, a 12-month program, that we meet them once every month to train them on various aspects, just to help them build capacity for the future. So periodically you'll find some of these mentees coming home, spending a few days, you know. So almost every time you find people in my house. But we have 4 biological children, 2 non-biological. One of them doing his national service at the moment. So that's the kind of
such a great family. What do you guys do for fun? Because I know there's going to be a lot of financial literacy talk at home, you know, a lot of vision boards at home every corner. Do they do anything else on the side? Like, if you guys want to get together and have fun, what's the ideal thing? We
do. So when I talk about financial planning, one of the things I talk about is high life.
Is it the high life we know?
High life simply means enjoy life.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but my recommendation is plan for it.
Okay. Planned high life.
Plan high life.
Okay.
So, I mean, since 2014 to date, I try to take a vacation once every year with my wife, but it's planned for.
Planned, yeah.
Yeah, we take a break once in a while. Last December, we had a good family time out of Accra, but it's planned for.
Planned.
We do our regular, I walk very often with my wife. I mean, most mornings we'll go for our morning walk. We play tennis, play basketball, I play football with the children at home. So there is a balance. I mean, when we need to do business, we do business. When we are home, we are home. I'm not the managing director at home. I'm a father and a husband.
You're the father and the husband.
Yeah.
The MDD, that's the MDD one side. Okay. All right. So I want to find out, right? What do you try to, or what are you trying to impart in the lives of your children? There are things you learned while growing up, and there are things that you've learned, in your career journey. What are some of the things you want to apply to your family? Things you want your children to learn while they grow?
I want my children to enjoy life. Life is short. Enjoy life, but impact humanity. Give back to society. Life, and I've told them, and it's the reason why when I most of the time when I go out to run conferences and seminars, sometimes I go with them. That life is bigger than just a family. I mean, it's not about you drive a big car, you live in a big house, your children attend good school, and then what? Life is bigger than that. It's a very narrow and shallow way of looking at life. If it's just about you and your wife and your children, it's also about humanity. It's also about adding something to society. So I have attempted to psych them up that it's not just about driving a big car. It's not just about living in a big house. It's also about impacting lives. So, for example, the mentoring sessions we have, most of the time they join.
Okay.
Even the little ones, they will sit through the night listening, So that is it for the children.
Do you see any of them picking your career path, following in your steps? Has anyone shown signs already?
Not yet. I mean, I have a first boy who is about 16, who will turn 16 next week.
Okay.
Who is a big IT guy. So
Okay.
I am
He's
clear about
IT.
Yeah, I'm clear about him. The other three, I think, are young. I want to give them the opportunity to space to explore and find themselves where they think they will enjoy most.
You just told us about your first job experience. I mean, the project you had to do with the 10 senior high schools, right? That was your official job, first official job.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember how much you were paid? Your first salary?
I think 180 cedis, if my memory serves me right.
This 180 Ghana cedis, the current one? 1.8 million, old currency.
Yes, I think so.
Was it enough for you?
It wasn't enough, but it was manageable. It was manageable. It was manageable. I remember the first car we bought. How much was it? 250 cedi or 150 Ghana cedi. You can imagine that kind of car.
Yeah.
4114U. That was the car.
That was the car number plate. You never seem to forget details. Wow.
Yeah, and it was a manual car. You see, but it was that kind of alacha car that if you've driven a manual car before.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so anytime you take your legs off the accelerator completely, the engine will go off.
Wow. So you always have to keep it balanced.
You need to manage between the brake and the accelerator. And I taught my wife how to drive. So that is how I taught her how to drive.
Wow.
Until we bought our second car, Golf 3. So the first day she drove the car, I said, driving a sanity. It looked easier for
okay.
compared
so she thought the initial one was the natural style. Okay.
Exactly. So we started small. It wasn't big. We live in somebody's boys' quarters, a small boys' quarters, maybe a little bigger than this studio for the first 5 years of our marriage.
Wow.
Yeah. And we manage it there, and we've been picking it one step at a time. Were
you never discouraged at any point? Did you never feel, okay, maybe I'm not doing the right thing in life, maybe I'm not on the right career path, maybe I'm supposed to do something else that will bring in money?
I there were a number of things I could do to bring in more money, but I enjoyed what I was doing. I mean, so when I did the financial literacy program, then I realized that, look, I met a number of people. So you go to a secondary school, meet a head mistress, a headmaster, and they didn't know what the stock market was. They didn't know what treasury bills were. And so I realized that there was a huge gap, financial literacy gap. A lot of people were financially illiterate. So there were people who had gone to school. You met people who were educated but financially illiterate. You know, and I got excited about that. So that's when all these talks in churches and all that started small, way back, and it's been building momentum to date. And as we went on the journey, you keep meeting people who will come back to thank you for some counsel, some advice they got several years ago. And it's so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling. I remember, I think about 4 years, 5 years ago, I went to speak in a church in Kofi. I saw a young lady carrying a baby. So she walks to me smiling. Says, so, good afternoon, Mr. Mante. I'm sure you won't make me out because you don't even know me. But you came to our church 4 years ago. And you told us that we can own our first house. My husband wasn't there. But when I went home, I managed to convince my husband. And today we live in our own house.
Wow.
It's not completed, but it's our own house. And I want to thank you. And you keep hearing these stories. I was telling Edwin outside, in 2011, I had a session with a company. I'd written my first book then. So a guy bought the book, read it overnight, and came to the office the next day and said, look, are you sure this is true? I'm looking at the power of compounding and building little by little. Are you sure this thing works? I said, yes, it works. He said, are you sure? So we did the mathematics together. I sat him down behind my Excel, and then I built the future value line by line so he can understand it. Quarterly, how the interest comes on top of the principal, and you have a new principal. So now the interest becomes bigger than the earlier.
Yes.
And then he started. You know what? So since then, I've been meeting him once every year to just review his portfolio for him. The last time I met him was in September. When I met him in September, I wish you can guess the value of his portfolio.
$500,000?
He had 1.8 million cedis.
Wow. And this was somebody you had mentored into this.
We just met in a program. I didn't know him.
Wow.
He got a book and came to the office. And then we started from 2011, 2020. He had 1.8 million cedis.
Wow.
And he said, Paul, my sleeping pattern has changed.
It has changed.
I sleep better. And he made a statement like this: I don't take nonsense in the office. You talk nonsense, I'll talk nonsense.
He has a good financial backing.
So I hear these stories every day. And so I don't think I will retire from what I am doing, whether I am 80 or 90 years. As long as I have energy, as long as I can. It's a calling for me. It's a ministry. It's not just a job. It's not working for a bank and taking salary. It's a calling for me. I'll tell you one more and we proceed. 2008, one of the relationship managers introduced me to a lecturer, and I did these calculations, and we started building up little by little. We built a decent portfolio. Then last 2 years, he called me, Paul, where are you? I said, I'm in the office. He said, come to Kolebu. I am on admission. It doesn't look like I'll go back home.
Wow.
So I drove to Kolebu. He was on admission. And he said, look, I'm not sure I'll be alive the next 2 months, but I want to thank you. You have no idea what you've done for myself and my family. I am so grateful. I want you to come back tomorrow. I want you to meet with my children here with me tomorrow. So we scheduled the time. I went the following day, met with the children, and then he told the children what we have been doing over the years. I meet them at home periodically, but they don't know why I come.
They don't know why you come.
Yeah. And then he walked us through his will and told the children that, look, he said, Paul, I'm handing these children over to you. I have willed my investment to them. Take care of them. Children, don't make any financial decision without consulting him. He eventually died, and we planned his funeral and everything. He asked me to make money available for funeral. But for me, what I can never forget about is when I went to the funeral. He had 3 children, and we had built up something very decent for the children. When the children were invited to read the tribute, they insisted I go with them.
Wow.
So I joined them to read the tribute. And we keep talking every day. We become like family, helping them with their finances. And they are building on the foundation their father laid. And what can be more fulfilling than this? What kind of money? Life is not all about money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying money is not important. Money is very important. But you see, if the only thing important to you in life is money,
it's just having the money,
then you are indeed very poor. Because you can be financially rich and emotionally bankrupt. You know, so I've considered other things, but I'm finding fulfillment in what I am doing today. It's not about balance sheet and just profit and revenue. It's about changing lives.
Changing lives.
It's about changing lives.
Paul, at what age do you think is ideal for a human being or a person to be introduced to financial literacy? Anything that has to do with finances and financial literacy. At what age?
As long as they can talk and hear and see. There was one time I put my children in a car and I drove them around Accra to the places you find the beautiful houses. And I told them, look, if you saw any beautiful house that you want us to own, let me know. When we came to Airport Hills, drove around. So, hey, Daddy, stop, I've seen that house. I like that, I like this one. Then I would stop, look at that, say, no problem. So we got home and I explained to them that money does not grow on tree. Anytime you left the light on, you see the house you saw at East Legon, the windows are gone. Anytime you left the tap on, anytime you left the soap in the water, basic things, and they got it. Until one day, I told you I live with an old lady. An old lady, yes. One day, my 4-year-old son came to me. He said, Daddy, Grandma is not helping us in this house. If we don't build the house I saw, it's because of Grandma. What has Grandma done? The light in the room is on.
Okay, so it means they get it.
Oh yes, they can get it. So all my children have their own investment accounts, and periodically. Yesterday, one gave me 35 cedis he had saved for, and reminded me that I owed him some money. I needed to top up to go and invest. So I'll do the deposit for him and send the deposit slip back to him that this is it for you. So let's not underrate the intelligence of children. They can understand. 3 years, 4 years, they can understand basic things. Why the fan must not be left on when there is nobody in the room. Why the lights must not be left on when there is nobody in the room. Simple things like how to cast toothpaste. They can understand. You may take it for granted. Why you cannot throw away leftover food? Because anytime you throw away leftover food, it's in fact money you are throwing away. And the children can understand it. But you see, when once in a while you also take them out, they go to Senchi to have a weekend. And you explain to them that, look, we can have this good time.
If it's planned.
If it is planned. If you live life a certain way. You need your family to be on the same page with you. You cannot win alone. You cannot decide that I want to become financially independent when your wife says no. And your children says no. So they can understand, but you need to reward them periodically for their understanding. So I think that children as young as 3 years, 4 years can understand.
Be introduced to financial literacy. I think it's a good way. If people are listening, they should definitely tap into this and introduce their family members to financial literacy. These are informations that we need in our lives. It's part of our daily lives. So the earlier we get used to it, the earlier we get close to them, the better for all of us. Paul, let me understand, right? Being instrumental in the launch of 3 mutual funds in Ghana, you helped establish several pension funds. What I want to find out is what has been the learning so far, and what should young investment managers aspiring to achieve results look out for?
Okay, thank you. I think that it's about that is selflessness. One of the challenges we've had globally with a number of financial markets is when you would have professionals looking out for opportunity just to enrich themselves, and they end up screwing investors, poor people, just to enrich themselves. So I think that for me, the one major thing I want to share with both colleagues and people who aspire to come into the industry is that it's about selflessness. It's about thinking about helping people change their lives. The money will come. As for the bonuses and the money, they will follow. But it must not be the main thing driving you. What should be driving you is changing lives out there, helping people. And we are seeing the results. And that's what I've attempted. God has blessed me with a great team in my office. And we are on the same page. They all understand the fact that, look, it's not just about bread and butter. It's about changing lives. So they go all out to help. So people who want to come into the industry must understand the fact that we are doing this. We set up, for example, you talk about 3 mutual funds. We set up a fund in 2012, the EDC Fixed Income Fund. Today, you know the fund size, it's over 2 billion cedis.
Wow.
It's over 2 billion cedis, with over 80,000 or so individuals investing in it. Somebody has 20K, somebody has a 50K, but people are building up decent future for themselves because we've created a platform where people can jump on board and then change their future. It's about changing lives. So it's over 2 billion at the moment. Last year, 2020, even with COVID, we signed on about 15,000 new clients. Last year, 2020, even with COVID, we grew the total funds we're managing by about 1.3 billion cedis. You know, so if we bring the client first, if we bring humanity first, if we think about changing lives first, the money will come.
That's very positive, I should say. I mean, people who want to get into this they should understand the main purpose. You know, it's building a wealth pool. That's what I would call it. I mean, so people can actually tap in.
Yeah.
You know, you drop yours in and then you secure at the end.
And you see, there is no point in you wanting to be the richest person within your society, within your family. It's very backward. You would find people in families, in societies, who would want to put a limit on everybody because they must be the star. Everybody must come to them when they have a need. But if you are in a family and you are the only person doing well, you will suffer.
You have a lot of mouths to feed.
Yes, you will have a lot of burden on you. You know, but if you can help other people come up, it reduces the pressure on you.
That's forward thinking for Africans, all of us. Your sessions and investment gospel are very, very convincing. I mean, I've sat here with you for close to an hour and I'm super convinced. I mean, I've listened to you. Months ago, I remember we hosted you on YFM, and after the interview, calls and messages were overwhelming. I mean, the response we had from the interview were overwhelming. What endearing attribute must one possess, all right, to be able to convince people from all walks of life to put some of their earnings away for a rainy day? I mean, back then, what I knew was it was very hard for you to convince people to even bank with their money, save their money whatsoever because of past experiences. What are some of the characters you think makes you more convincing? Because it goes beyond what you say.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some of the endearing attributes you think you possess or one must possess to be able to convince people to put their money into investments and that?
We need to be passionate about this, and we need to be genuine and honest. I mean, there are times I get it wrong, and when you get it wrong, you need to accept that I am wrong. You need to be genuine about what you do, and you need to be passionate about it. And it won't happen overnight. And that's one of the challenges we need to be dealing with, whether it's financial literacy or career. These days, you meet people who want things to happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. You have to build up little by little. But you know, the good thing is, you get to a point where the clients become the disciples. Like this guy who has 1.8 million. The people who have come on board the last 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, and they can see the results, go out there to bring other people. They bring the family members, they bring the church colleagues.
They fetch people for you.
I get several calls every day. I can't even handle it. Oh, this person asked me to call you. I want to build I want to become financially independent. And this person asked me to call you. So sometimes then I have to pass them on to my colleagues to take care of them. But I get several calls every day. So as people come on board, when we are genuine with them and they can see the results,
you just spread the...
They'll spread the gospel. They'll go out there and talk to other people about it. You know.
But would you describe anything as a challenge that is confronting young fund managers and investment bankers in Ghana? Are there challenges? If there are, what are some of the main challenges you're facing?
Well, I think and it's not just investment bankers. It's the get-rich-quick attitude. Where people want to make money overnight. And don't get me wrong, money is good, but money must be built little by little. Once you want to make money overnight, you can easily end up compromising. And it's not just in Ghana, globally. We've seen people who have ended up in jail because they compromise just so they could enrich themselves. So I think the get-rich-quick attitude is one major challenge, and that could be connected to people, the situation where people focus on themselves rather than focusing on the client, being selfless in what we're doing. But the other challenge is you don't find a number of people. I mean, when I started doing this over the years, people thought it was a waste of time because people want to focus on big clients. I want to get that one client who bring in 10 million cedis, who bring in 50 million cedis, and you have a kill. Instead of wasting your time with students who are 50 Ghana cedi, even you are not sure whether they can bring in the 50 Ghana cedi.
But there's a lot of potential in there.
Exactly. So the challenge is people want to focus on the big ones rather than the mass market. And I think we got the code right. When it comes, we've done almost every university. We go to the universities, we go to the churches, myself and the team. It's not just about the big client, but it's about the ordinary person. And I told you how much we grew last year. But you see, you would find small monies.
Accumulated and then grew into the bigger.
Yes, and it's so huge, you know. So let's also, and it's not just about the accumulation, it's also about the number of people you are touching. Why do you want to focus on one person with 50 million when there are other people that we need to be talking to? So I think it's a big challenge. You won't find a number of people in the industry going out there to share with people. Over the last maybe 3 years, myself and my team, we've been doing speaking engagement, average more than 300 every year.
Wow.
I mean, there are days I do 3.
That's a lot of work.
There are Saturdays I'm doing morning, afternoon, evening.
Wow.
Last weekend, for example, I did Saturday evening, I did Sunday morning, I did Sunday evening. Just talking to people, helping them plan their finances. The focus is helping them. But you know why? You know what? When they decide to invest, they will look for you.
That's true.
Because it's like you are the person who has switched on the light in their lives. They come to that consciousness that, wow, so Charlie, that thing, after all, it was possible. Who should I talk to? Paul, can you get somebody to help me? They will eventually come back to you. So I want to encourage practitioners. Let's all help. It's not about just one bank. It's about changing our society. The more people we have coming on board, the better for all of us. And I am happy some of my clients who come to the office, some of the people who insist they want to see you. It's a plumber, it's a taxi driver, it's a trotro driver who has managed to build up to 20,000 Ghana cedis and never imagined that in his lifetime he will be able to make 20 Ghana cedis. They come in and we encourage them that, no, you are not done yet. You know what? If you go about things this way, if you can continue with your 100 cedis every month, with your 200 cedis every month, at this point in time, you can make so much. They go back, encourage, and they continue building something decent for themselves and for their children. We do it right. You know what? A child who may have dropped out of school or who could have dropped out of school will end up in an Ivy League school, will end up in a good school just because we encourage the parents or we met the parents and we manage their finances for them.
Wow. That's very beautiful and insightful. I want to find out, right? You mentioned that last year alone you signed on about 15,000 clients. Wow. When COVID came up, personally, were you scared at any point things were going to change in how people approach finances, investments, all that? I mean, when it came up.
Yes, sure. But I'm in a very proactive company and environment. So once COVID started, we started putting things in place, asking ourselves, what is the worst that can happen? If the worst happens, how do we continue running our business? So in fact, before the lockdown, we had done our own lockdown in the office a couple of times. So we asked half of the staff to work at home, and let's see if you will still be able to respond to clients, if you will still be able to pick calls. So contact centers were set up at home. If you can still be able to pick calls and respond to clients, then what need. So by the time the lockdown came, almost all our people could work at home. And because we did that, saw the challenges, and then we fixed the challenges, and how do we help people invest through Momo when they are home? So let's think about that quickly. So I think that we were quite proactive with COVID. Without COVID, we would have done better. Because when I look at my numbers, the numbers went down in March and somewhere April. These were the 2 months we had the lowest numbers, and we were in that.
I think that was when we started the whole lockdown process. Yes, people were not used to the whole new trend of living.
So we could have done better, but it was a good year. In fact, it wasn't just a good year; it's been our best year.
Looking at the situation surrounding it. Kudos going out to you and the team. Now, as MD of EDC Investments Limited, I mean, obviously your schedule should be very packed. Take us through a regular day for Mr. Mante at work. You've taken us through how days are like for you at home. When you're at work, what are the activities? How many hours do you spend at work?
There is no period for when it comes to the number of hours. I mean, yesterday, for example, I worked till about 11 p.m.
What time did you go to work?
Yesterday, I went to work in the afternoon. I mean, I only go to the office when it's extremely necessary. To be in the office. There was something I needed to be in the office. So I went there around 1 in the afternoon, thereabout rather, and I left around 5 p.m. So I went home, spent some time with the family, and then went back to work until about 11, because there was something we needed to do. There was a document we needed to send in the evening. So it has to do with meetings. Meetings will take a lot of the day. Meetings, you respond to calls, you pick calls, you respond to emails. I mean, on a bad day, you may end up with about 150, 200 emails. And some of them you are just in copy, but there are some of the emails you need to respond to. But you see, what COVID has done is that now people don't need to meet you to schedule meetings. So you have virtual meetings. I mean, last Monday, today is Wednesday, Monday I had about 9 virtual meetings.
Just moving from one to the other.
Exactly, from 8:30 till about 5 p.m. or so. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes, back to back. I had 9 of them on Monday. So it takes all your time. So after the meetings, then you have to respond. There are some of the meetings you can be responding to emails along the way, but there are some meetings you need to focus. You finish, you respond to emails. You are responding to client complaints. I mean, when you are somebody who do public speaking, when people have little issues,
they'll fall back to you.
Exactly. And sometimes they will want others to know that, look, I know the MD. And I can get the MD to resolve my issues for me. And like I said, the attitude is we want to help people. So I don't shy away from picking calls or talking to anybody. And I try to respond to every call I miss.
Wow.
Whether it's a local call or international call, when you call me, I don't pick up, I will return the call.
Don't you get tired along the line? Don't you have days where you're like, let me just put my phone off or something? I mean,
no, I never put my phone off. No, I would rather mute my phone and focus so that I can call the people who call me.
You call them back later.
And you see, when it comes to the calls, there are occasions somebody calls, you don't pick, you call back and then say, oh, this man asked me to call you. I have some 10 million I need to invest.
And that means if you are delayed, 10 million go with that.
Exactly.
Do people call at odd hours?
Oh, yes. Especially with COVID. Like you see, COVID has broken a lot of barriers, because now people know they can reach you anytime you can work from home. So people call at odd hours. Sometimes you have to respectfully let them know that, look, I can't discuss this at this time.
I also have a family, man.
Yeah.
I'm on break.
Yeah,
I'm human.
Let's do tomorrow. So this is a typical day, but you see, you also have a strategy you need to implement.
Okay.
So in all this, you still need to focus on the big picture. Beginning of the year, I had my own strategy session with my team. We've agreed on some KPIs. There are things we want to achieve. So as you are picking the calls and getting into the virtual meetings and all that, you are still evaluating your progress, just to make sure that you would be able to be on top of your strategy and execute. You want to see that discipline with the team. When you commit that we are doing ABCD, it must be done. There must be that discipline, and you being the leader need to help the team have that discipline to execute. Because if you left people on their own, we all need people to encourage us. Yeah. So what I've also done is I've broken the team into smaller
units.
Okay. Yes, and I have weekly meetings with every unit. So almost everybody, we do a review. We look at progress. There are various reports they will send. We look at progress. We decide on the things we need to do. It's been good.
It's been a great one.
And I said earlier on, I've been blessed with a great team. I have solid guys, committed, very passionate about what we do.
When it comes to EDC's investment strategy, all right, your investment strat, just how small can I start and how does it work? We've talked about what the system is, why you need to be on, why you need to be financially, up when it comes to literacy, why you need to invest in your future and that. But how small can I start?
50 Ghana
Ideally.
Cedi. 50 Ghana Cedi.
50 Ghana cedis a month.
It's as simple. No, 50 Ghana Cedi to start.
Okay, to start with.
Yes. So, for example, and we've made it easy for people to come on board. You want to sign on, all you need is you need your passport picture, you need a national ID, you need your digital address or the proof of address, and you are good to go. You are good to start with a minimum of 50 Ghana Cedi. Now, once you start with a minimum of 50 Ghana Cedi, you have the flexibility. You are not obliged to commit something monthly.
Yeah.
You have the flexibility to invest as and when you want to.
As and when you're ready to just come put in some more.
Anytime, any day, you can walk into any EcoBank branch and top up. You can use Momo to top up. You know what it means? You can top up middle of the night. You can top up on week anytime. So we provide people that flexibility. I have an interesting client who sells at Okanshi.
Okay.
And if he comes to deposit money almost every day. So he's doing like 50 CD a day, 40 CD a day. Once you do the initial 50 CD minimum, subsequent deposit must be minimum of 20 Ghana.
Wow. So
it's the first deposit that must be a minimum of 50. Once you've done that, the subsequent deposit must be a minimum of 20 Ghana.
So you can do 50 for starters, and then your deposits, your periodic deposits can do minimum of 20.
Exactly.
That's fair.
What I encourage salaried workers to do is to put a standing order on your account.
Their salary.
You know, I always recommend the 10-20-70 principle. You pay your tithe of 10% if you believe in tithing, but I recommend a minimum of 20% of your income must go into investment, minimum of 20%. So put a standing order on your account so that, look, in a worst case, you know that something is going into investment.
Yes,
every
you're putting
month.
Something aside.
Yeah, and beside the regular investment, anytime you have a windfall, you can
dip your hands in.
Yeah, and when a windfall is basically monies you haven't budgeted to receive, because you would have lived your life without that money. You had not budgeted for it. You would have lived your life without it. So when it comes, it's a windfall. You invested, and you can do that through Momo and other things. At the end of the day, it's your future that you are building. It's for you yourself. You can imagine it.
So the more you put in, the better your future.
Exactly.
If you feel like you the mafia, Mr. Kofi, Mante, the mafia yourself.
You the mafia your own future. So you can imagine. I've met people who started small. Today they are making interest on a monthly, every month they are making interest of about 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Just interest, not a principal. You know, so you by all means need to get to that point in time. You by all means need to get to that point in time where the return on your investment is higher than your salary.
So you put in so much. It's a reasonable sacrifice. Put in a lot now, sacrifice the bigger portion now, the 20% off that, and then you get to a point where the monthly rollover, the interest will even sort the 2020 where you put for inside long time.
The thing be say, if you don't invest the 20%, the salary will not be enough.
It will never be enough.
If you also invest, it will not be enough. So you better invest. I was telling your colleague the other day when we had the interview that I think it was early last year or late 2019, I had a session with a church in Accra, big church. So I asked this simple question: how many of you struggle with your salaries? If you are not investing because the salary is not enough, let me see your hand. And all the hands went up. Then I did a follow-up question. How many of you believe that if your salary is doubled from today, if it is doubled, then it's going to be enough? A number of hands went up. So I called 10 of them at random. And I gave them pieces of paper. I said, okay, let me have your current salary. Just the salary. Don't add your name. And I took the papers from them. You know what? The lowest income earner among the 10 was on a salary of 350 CD a month. 350 cedis a month. For some reason, this person believed that if the 350 is doubled to 700, now it will be enough and they will be able to invest. But right among the 10 of them, there was one on a salary of 5K, which is more than 10 times the 350. But this person was not also investing, because he also thought the salary was not enough.
It has to be doubled first.
It has to be doubled. Meanwhile, he was getting 10 times, more than 10
times what they're getting.
There was one on a salary of 11,000 a month,
who was also saying he can't save until it's doubled.
The highest income earner among the 10 was on a salary of 20,000 a month. So the guy earning 350 Ghana cedis says it's not enough. The guy earning 20,000 a month says it's not enough. Because you see, there is a law called the Parkinson Law. The Parkinson Law explains why most people retire poor, even after earning substantial income through their working years. The Parkinson Law says that no matter how much people earn, they will always adjust their lifestyle to match their salary. So as salary is increasing, the natural person will adjust lifestyle to match the salary. So you monitor the life of a young guy who has just gotten out of the university. Starts work, he will be struggling with the Trotsky. But for some reason, they will manage. Increase the salary a little bit. They will move from Trotsky now, using taxi to Uber. Give them time, they'll buy their first car.
They'll buy their own car.
And even the car, they'll buy a small car. And with time, they will keep changing. Exactly. Because the Parkinson Law says that people will adjust their lifestyle. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with adjusting your lifestyle to match your salary. But there is everything wrong with consuming everything. So you were earning 350, you were consuming everything. Today you are earning 5K and you are consuming everything. That is where the problem is. People start life, they are shopping at the Bend Down Boutique. You know Bend Down Boutique?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know Bend Down Boutique?
Cantonment.
Okay, yeah.
You the good one where you
first selection.
You know na Shanghai.
Yeah, you know Shanghai. Saturday morning sharp. You have to be there early. They get it, they come and wash it, iron it nicely, and they look good. But with time, now they go to the shopping mall. Very soon they go to Dubai. I've met people who fly to UK just to go and shop and come back. Just to go and shop and come back. So I am encouraging our listeners. It doesn't matter how little your salary is. I recommend a minimum of 20% for investment. Minimum 20%. You will not die. I did a seminar for a company one time, and a lady followed up to come and see me. I said, this thing, are you sure it works? I mean, because it sometimes it looks too simple to be true. That, if you do 200 a month, 500 a month, little by little, this number of years you could make over $1 million. I said yes, but from my experience, I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. I know when people are fired up, sometimes they start at the level they are not able to sustain. Because the message is too good and they want to invest 80% of their salary every month. And within 2 months, 3 months, they degas. So I told the lady that, and I saw that fire in her. I said, you know what? Just do what you can. But we're looking long term.
Exactly.
So do what is sustainable. He said, yes. Look, I'm going to do what is sustainable. I want to start with 13,000 cedis every month.
Wow.
But the big question I ask myself is this. This lady didn't have any investment. before that seminar. So if this lady can do away with 13K every month and still live, and she's been doing it for close to 2 years. If this lady can do away with 13K every month, how much does she earn? What was she doing?
What was she doing?
Before?
That's the question, yeah.
So the salary is never going to be enough. I encourage you minimum 20%. If you earn 200 cedis, still invest 20%. If you earn 20K, still invest 20%.
And you just stick to the 20%.
Exactly, minimum.
Good thing is, if you get used to that, once your salary grows, you still will not feel it, because there's a 20% that is a part of your spending all the time. It's investing, but at least see it as if you're spending.
You automate,
You're spending, yes, exactly.
your investment.
And you get used to it. I mean, when you start young, by the time you start making the millions, you won't even feel it. You've stated time and time again that financial independence is possible. I mean, from all that you've said now, it's highly possible. In your opinion, what is the average Ghanaian's biggest challenge in achieving this? You just mentioned the whole 20%. People think they have to get more and that. Beyond that, do you think there's a particular cause to why we are not able to really invest?
I will summarize it in the mindset. It's just a mindset where people think that the thing is not possible. One of the biggest things I keep hearing is the salary is not enough. The salary is not enough, but I've dealt with the issue of the salary not being enough because I've met people who earn 40,000 who also say the salary is not enough. So it's the mindset. We just need to believe that it's possible. We'll build up little by little. It's not going to happen overnight. If we can do that, and if you have a financial plan, because it's also important to be clear where you are getting to. If you are clear in your mind that I don't have anything, but in another 5 years I want to make my first 100K. In another 15 years I want to make my first $1 million or my first million Ghana cedis. You need to have a plan. Once you have a plan and you are consistent with your plan, you're going to be fine.
Mr. Paul, you've successfully authored a number of books on financial independence. What has been the impact of your writings, and should we expect new publications soon? Are you working on any book now?
I'm working on 3.
3?
Yes.
You're releasing them at a go?
I don't know, because sometimes it's about time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I need to get somebody to be helping me. Yeah, because I have several I need to work on. I have close to about 10 books I need to work on. But at the moment there are 3 that I have touched on. So the impact has been great. I get calls from all over the world, from people I don't know. I see messages on social media from people I don't know, from India to China to all over the world. I've read your book. It's like some new lights open to me. It's like I was in darkness. How come I didn't know these simple things? I brought copies of my books. I'll give them to you.
Thank you so much.
Because when you read them, you realize that it's so easy to understand and it's so easy to connect and relate to. So the impact has been amazing. It's been great. Just that I haven't taken it serious. But if I need to take it a bit more serious, put it on Amazon, possibly put it in other languages so we can reach a lot more people. But the impact has been it's been fulfilling.
It's been overwhelming.
Yeah, it's been fulfilling.
We've had instances where, in the past, there are a lot of things that we know about. People investing money, investing their lifetime savings into projects, investment projects that have gone south. For people like that, how are you able to convince them to get back into investment? Because obviously, whoever it is that he invested with in the past disappointed them. How do you win the trust back? Do you go an extra with saying extra stuff? Do you need to overprove things to them before? I mean, you've taken us through how you would deal with a new person, but how would you deal with someone who has been bitten before,
They should learn lessons from the past, and life must continue. I've been involved in an accident before, the year 1997. Do I say I won't travel by car again?
No.
We've had plane crashes in the past. Do we say we won't fly again? No. So I would say that, look, we need to learn lessons out of what has happened, and then life must continue. We need to move on. But it's also important to state that there are a lot of people who did not lose money. Some have lost money, but there are a lot of people who are doing well. So let's learn. Life comes with some risk. some of the risks are avoidable. Some of the things that happen are wrong, and they must be concerned. They must be condemned. But look, let's learn lessons out of that and move on.
Move on with that. How do you personally measure success?
It's about giving back. It's about dying empty. It's about the lives you touch. It's about how many people you put a smile on their faces. So that is how I would see success. I mean, I think the material things, the houses and the cars, they are minor. I mean, you can inherit them. If your father was rich and your father gave you all the mansions and the cars, and then what? So you will say you are successful and life ends. No. So I think it's about what we give back to society. It's about the lives we impact. It's about children who will be in the classroom because of us. It's about people who will have access to medical care because of us. So I will measure success from the perspective of our influence and the lives we touch.
Yeah, I'm really touched, man, Charlie. Financial literacy at its best. I'm super humbled. I mean, we are super happy to have had you here with us. It's been an awesome ride. I enjoyed every bit of it. Final thing I want to find out from you. Thank you so much, guys. I just got myself 3 books from Mr. Kofi Mante. First one is Operation 1 Million Ghana Cedis. I mean, we're going to make the best use of this. I'll read it, and from time to time, I mean, share bulletins from the book with all of you guys. Next one I have is Foundation of Financial Independence, written by him as well. And this is Financial Independence is Possible. It's a possibility. If you're watching me on Facebook now, where do people get these books if they want to buy them?
Drop a message on Facebook. Somebody will respond, will deliver to you. Or you can go to Challenge Bookshop, or you go to Two Tower. Opposite Top Radio.
All right. So for my guys in Kumasi especially, I mean, I know a lot of guys who buy from the Challenge Bookshop in Adum. Go out there and get any of Mr. Kofi Mante's books. What are your final words to the youth of Ghana? Tell us something before we go.
So my final words to the youth of Ghana is this. Let's take the conversation about personal finance serious. Jim Rohn said that if you took all the money, and you started with Jim Rohn, so I'm closing with
that.
Said if you took all the money in the world and divided it equally among everybody, it will soon be back in the same pocket it was before. Let me take that again. If you took all the money in the world and divided it equally among everybody, it will soon be back in the same pocket it was before. Because there is something about money we need to learn. Young people need to understand that salary is the medicine for managing poverty. It does not cure poverty. Only a business or an investment cures poverty. But not everybody can run a business. But everybody can invest. Wow. If you don't find a way to make your money work for you whilst you are asleep, you will keep working when you have to sleep. If you don't find a way to make your money work for you whilst you are asleep, you keep working when you have to sleep. Just a few punches for my young friends listening to me. And make sure you also balance your life. When we talk about money and all that, there must be a balance. And I take a quotation from Brian Dawson. He gave advice to a graduating class, and I take that quotation. He said, imagine life as a game in which you are juggling some 5 balls in the air. You name them work, family, health, friends, and spirit. Work, family, health, friends, and spirit. You would soon recognize that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will bounce back. But the other 4 balls, family, health, friends, and spirit, are made of glass. If you drop one of these, they will be irrevocably scuffed. What is the point? Make money. But don't sacrifice your family. Don't sacrifice your health.
Your spirit life.
Don't sacrifice your friends for money. Else you'll be financially rich, but you will be emotionally bankrupt. So So this will be my final words. I would say David Chilton, the wealthy Baba, says the best time to plant an oak tree, if you want to make money, if you want to see the benefit of a tree, the best time you should have planted the tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is now. And the best time anybody should have started investing was the time you understood 1 + 1 is equal to 2. If you didn't do it at that time, the next best time is now. So let's work hard, let's make money, let's have a balance, let's have integrity, make genuine money, make money that you can sleep sound at night. And you are not afraid. When you sleep, you have to sleep sound. Proverbs 20:17. Proverbs 20:17, the Bible says, food gained by fraud tastes sweet to a man, but he ends up with a mouth full of gravel. Proverbs 20:17. Food gained by fraud tastes sweet to a man, but he ends up with a mouth full of gravel. Yeah. Wow. So let's make money, but let's make genuine money. For those who may want to take this conversation to another level, let me just drop our contact center lines.
Sure, sir.
Where you can quickly call. So those who may want to send emails, you can send emails to edc-clientservice@ecobank.com. edc-clientservice@ecobank.com, or you can call our contact center via 0302-634165, 0302-634165, or 0302-634150. You can also call or WhatsApp this number 0595-235065. You can call or WhatsApp this number 0595-235065. You want to invest, you want to make inquiries, you want to understand something, you can contact us through these lines.
All right, sure. So thank you so much for spending time with us. We've had an awesome ride. I wish you the very best. We pray a lot of people get on board. I mean, you are on a good journey, a great journey to turn the lives of millions around. And I pray a lot of people join in. A lot of people wake up to this great package that you have for all of us. And thank you so much for choosing to spend time with Wiley Debot series today. We're truly inspired.
Yep. Thank you, and thanks to your platform for the collaboration. It's been an amazing collaboration.
Great. All right, so that was Mr. Paul Kofi Mante, my guest today for Wiley Debot series. We started with his life, talked about where he got, how he got to where he is now. Taught us so much about investing in our future, financial literacy, and that. If you want to find out more, 0302-634-165. Call this number now, or just give us, send us a text. We'll drop the contact for you, and then we can have a good time. All right.
Congratulations, you found the one station that plays Ghana's best urban music.
YFM.
Listen to YFM 107.9 Accra, 102.5 Kumasi, and 97.9 at Takoradi.